Hey guys, it's GirlGotGame. Welcome to London Detective Mysteria for the first time. I'm so excited to play this game and date some people that are somehow related to famous detectives and other people of fiction. Fiction and non-fiction, potentially. But yeah, anyway, I'm excited to see what this game will have in store. There is some actual detective work that needs to be done as well. It's not just smooching people. So yeah, let's see if we can solve a mystery and also chase down some booty. Let's begin. How shall I address you, milady? Oh, the protagonist actually has like a voice. Let me just make sure, actually. I did turn all the voices off before, but I just want to make sure it is still there. Let's see. Sound. No sound. Minimum. Everything's to minimum, so hopefully we won't hear anything we're not supposed to be hearing. Alright. Close. Let's start. I think I'll keep Emily. Why not? Just like I kept Chizuru and stuff like that. I'll keep it as Emily. I thought about changing it to Velma, but because Velma's my favorite girl detective. Shoutouts to Scooby-Doo. But yeah, we'll keep it as Emily. And let's begin the prologue. Our tale begins as the curtains close on the 19th century. This evening is as ordinary as they come for London, England. Mist hangs thick, beclouding the radiance of the moon and modest glow of gas lamps. Oh my goodness, beclouding? I'm already in love with the writing. Now, a word of caution, if I may. Take care on the streets tonight. It wouldn't do for you to become the target of villains lurking in the shadows. Even Scotland Yard, the pride of our city, has yet to solve the many terrifying incidents that hide comfortably in its seediest corners. Most perhaps would scurry away with this advice, then stroll blissfully into a trap. You strike me as an unusual sort, however, so should you find yourself drawn to the unsolvable, steel your nerves and see your case through to its end. Take solace in knowing that London is home to more than the purely unjust, for the just find their places amongst the likes of brilliant detectives and fearless gentlemen thieves. Like Lupin. The curtain may soon close on the 19th century, yes, but upon the resounding chime of Big Ben, a new tale of love and adventure like no other begins. Year 18XX, Whiteley House, London. All right, there we are. Pendleton. I assume that's the lad behind us?
My lady, we mustn't tarry a second longer. We're running late.
Yes, I know that. It's my dress, you see. It's a bit too tight for my liking. With help not far behind, I step through the hall at a bold pace.
Oh, of that I'm sure. I had to lace your corset tighter this time. Your figure has been rather distressful of late. Around the waist in particular.
You calling me fat? That isn't true! I'm simply growing. A girl needs to grow in all the right places if she's to become a proper lady, you know.
I know, yes. To think the day would come when you chose to recite that of your own volition, but it speaks to your growth from a child into an elegant young woman. Your mother and father would take great pride in seeing you as you are now. Perhaps a bit more pride were you to strive for a slimmer waistline.
Dang, man! Give me a break! I told you that isn't true! Oh, please, just for today, loosen this corset. And do we have anything with a smaller heel? It's difficult to walk in these.
You will have to put up with both, my lady. You're dressing for more than just Her Majesty's birthday. This will also mark your debut into high society.
Oh, I'm going out into society for the first time? Great. Pendleton was right, and yet it still did not ring true to me. It was only 3 months ago that my life had been one of peace in the countryside. But gossip has a way of spreading quickly amongst the nobility. Word reached the royal family that I had returned to London to assume my role as heir of House Whiteley. The invitation was only natural, given this news, and with it came a certain expectation that my attendance would end in prospects of marriage with fine suitors. If only I cared.
With how many members of the nobility will be in attendance, I feel the need to remind you that failure is not an option. Have I made myself plain?
Very. I only have one chance to make a good first impression. Look at her face.
This marks the beginning of your becoming a woman of refinement, marrying a perfect gentleman, and rebuilding House Whiteley. Only upon completion will I feel confident I've paid my debts to Lord Robert and Lady Olivia.
Do we have like a Sebastian Seal relationship going on here? What's going on? Like, are my parents... assume my parents are dead. And now I'm taking over as heiress, which means, yeah, bachelors aplenty.
You've nothing to fear, my lady. The first step is always the most daunting. And please, remember to wear that necklace with all the pride of the generations that came before you.
I tapped at the precious heirloom around my neck. Is it a bee? Of course. Our name is our legacy, and I will protect it, with all that Mother and Father gave me. It is a bee. What's the bee for, I wonder?
Your enthusiasm is touching, but I hope it begins promptly with how you conduct yourself before an audience.
You worry too much. I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
I worry precisely the right amount.
What are you, Gandalf?
In contrast to the ladies and gentlemen of London, you exhibit the air of, yes, an unruly schoolboy from the countryside. Like night and day, really.
Please! That's enough, Pendleton. This man is Pendleton. As the head butler of House Whiteley, it falls upon his shoulders to care for my every need. Okay, so you have a butler who dresses you. Interesting. I thought butlers only helped men dress? Maybe we're very close. I'm trying to remember what the women equivalent is. It's like a... It's not a maid in waiting. Ugh, I'm drawing a complete blank. One of you guys probably knows what I'm talking about, or maybe it'll come to me later. He's honest. Perhaps a bit too honest, but there is no one in this world more attentive. He also takes time to educate me in a number of subjects as my personal tutor. Be it manners of the nobility, history, literacy, music, or the arts, he has always instructed me with the same rigid intensity as one would a man. It's an astounding feat, for he not only serves these needs, but our guests, our family finances, and whatever new thing that requires his attention, to which I confess new things happen as often as my inclination for mischief. I should feel more guilty than I do for adding to his burdens, but who can resist the urge to sneak away from the mansion for a stroll through the city, or the fun of climbing a tree? At least he appears to enjoy the lectures that come every time he catches me. Oh, hello, horse.
So you're absolutely confident your manner is that of the finest lady?
Oh, that I am, and nothing less.
Do you see that woman walking along the pavement? Picture her to be the very definition of a proper young lady. Should that be the case, you are the dog at her side.
Dang! What dog? Pendleton pointed, and I felt a rush of excitement upon the sight. She's just like, a puppy, yay! What a charmer! That's a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, isn't it? It looks so small that it can't be older than a year. Oh, what a dream it would be to have one of my own.
My. In one ear and out the other. As it stands, I spend enough of my time looking after you. I don't know if I could spare another minute for a dog.
Now, Pendleton. Don't exaggerate. And look at that! We're almost there.
Good heavens.
The rhythmic clacking of wheels on cobblestone continued in the background. A short while later, I heard the boisterous boom of Big Ben indicating 11 o'clock in the morning. Her Majesty's birthday party is going to start soon. I can't wait! I gazed out the window to take in the bustle of the city. Energy was abound. Even what few clouds there were in the sky seemed to move to the same vibrant energy as the masses below. It was there, admiring all the wonders of London, that I first wondered where my debut would take me. The curtains close on the 19th century. Now word of caution, if I may. Take care on the streets tonight. It wouldn't do for you to become a prisoner of the night fog. Right? Alright, we get an anime opening. Sweet. Let's do this. A tale like no other begins. Alright, give me a preview of everybody. I can't wait. Ooh, footy prints. Sherlock Holmes. Excellent. William H. Watson. Kenichiro Ekachi. Samurai Boy, heck yes. Who could be Sanon's younger brother. Jean Lupin. Seiji Kobayashi, Ralph Pendleton, Sarah Marple, Abigail Hudson. Alright. And Jack the Ripper. Who could also be Ukyo's younger brother. There's a lot of guys in this that look like characters from other games. Mycroft. Moriarty. Oh my goodness, look at all these people. This is such an anime opening, it's great. Now then, are you ready to seek the truth? I am ready. Seek truth and romance. I'm here for all of it. We soon arrived at Buckingham Palace, home of Her Majesty the Queen. The Queen's guard stood dutifully upright, granting entrance to guests dressed in only the most beautiful gowns and fittings. I was nervous, yet, yes, but another part of me shivered with that positive anxiety one has at the prospect of a new thrill. Good day to you. I am Emily Whiteley of House Whiteley. Would this be where the birthday party is being held? Pendleton swiftly presented the guard with an invitation from a white envelope.
We've been expecting you, Lady Whiteley. Please, right this way.
Thank you very much. Just as I had been so often instructed, I gathered my skirt the tiniest bit and curtsied. The guard was kind enough to escort us, and it took no time at all from there to reach the enchanting halls of the palace. Oh, what a sight this is! As it ought to be for Her Majesty, of course, but I still can't hide my surprise.
Indeed, it is a marvel. I trust you won't get lost in the crowd, my lady.
Beneath the vaulted ceiling, champagne flowed and tables were bountiful with exotic fruits, exceptional tea leaves, and delectable baked goods. A smile here, a reserved laugh there. Distinguished gentlemen and dignified ladies conversed fervently, always in character, but in a way that was sincere to one free of judgment. The air was perfumed in sophistication that could have overwhelmed me were I any less prepared. Indeed, it was a party for the aristocracy. There is not a frown to be seen, though I don't see Her Majesty anywhere.
She will be here soon enough. I hear she will be accompanied by a cat given to her by the King of Siam.
Really? I didn't know the royal family had a cat.
It's very recent, and one given due to it and the Queen sharing birthdays. A smartly chosen gift, is it not?
Well, today is more than a simple gathering, then. What better occasion than a birthday to strengthen the bond between royals? The decor dazzled, and there was no better compliment to it all than the gowns of the guests in attendance.
Pardon me, but would you care for a drink?
The man presented a tray with several amber-colored champagne glasses. I'd love one, thank you.
Here you are, then, my lady.
I didn't even have to hold it very close to my nose to catch the glass's rich aroma. It was whilst wandering around the hall, drink in hand and amazement never ceasing, that two very distinct voices suddenly caught my attention. Hello? Is this the first of our guys?
Well, this is certainly a party, isn't it? Naturally, one fit for a queen. Or so we've been led to think. A hallway so vast means nothing with as many blind spots as there are guests. Anything could happen here, and no one would be any the wiser. Oh, stop. A bit too dark for the occasion, I think. Now, I just wish I could spot the inspector. He must be fed up to his ears waiting for us.
The boys passed me by, wrapped in conversation. Oops! And in a completely unrelated incident, the shoulder of the guest behind me collided with the hand holding my champagne glass. The glass was thrust from my hand and went soaring through the air. Oh, dash it! It's going to break! My eyes closed. I couldn't bring myself to watch it shatter.
That was close. Are you alright?
Me? Strangely, no such awful sound came. There was a pause, but there was no sense of public humiliation waiting for my eyes to open. All very opposite to what I expected. Nice catch, Watson. Oh man, these boys are so pretty. They're sparkling and stuff. Now, which one of you lovely gentlemen shall I romance first? Watson or Holmes? We saw Watson first, technically, judging by the clothes he's wearing. But Holmes was the first one they showed in the opening. So I'm wondering if maybe I should do it the way the opening introduced them. And it's not just because I want to romance Holmes first. Although that might have something to do with it. Ah, dash it all, I'm gonna romance Holmes first. Rather, one of those passing boys was before me with my champagne in hand.
And your dress? Did you spill anything on it?
The taller boy with the chestnut-colored hair smiled as he returned the glass. Nerves gave way to relief. There was an ease to him that was infectious. I don't believe so, but thank you for asking.
That's good to hear.
The wink. Smile still holding true, he made certain I was holding the glass steadily in my hand again before fully letting go.
Would have been a shame if a party like this was ruined over a dirty dress. Watson, are you quite done? We don't have time for this. Oh, sorry, I'm coming. Enjoy the party.
I will. You as well. With a wink, he turned and was ready to continue on his way. And then I got glared at. The other boy, shorter by comparison and with black hair, spared me a quick, impatient glance and nothing more.
You're the one who said he must be fed up to his ears. Hurry it up. I apologized, didn't I?
And that was that. They're a rather odd couple. Are they not guests? Of all the guests here, they were the only ones dressed in clothes suited to a simpler occasion. come to think of it, the name Watson is familiar. But from where? It didn't take long to recall where I'd heard it. I remember! They're detectives! Like Sherlock Holmes and John Watson! Then he must be...
Dr. John Watson's son, I would assume.
As I suspected, which makes the dark-haired boy...
The son of Sherlock Holmes, yes.
So he's the Sherlock Holmes. I just love the idea that Sherlock is enough of an ass that he'd name his son after him but just drop a letter. Sherlock instead of Sherlock. Alright, sons of two very famous detectives. Gotcha. And continuing on the family tradition.
They say Watson's son plays the role of assistant also. To Holmes Jr., of course.
Well, now that I know who they are, that explains why they don't appear to be here for the party.
Neither were born from the aristocracy, so I suppose they wouldn't. Could they have been summoned to investigate something, then?
Did something happen?
Shh! My lady, your voice is much too loud.
Oh, how unladylike. But I'm curious. If Holmes Jr. is here, there must be a reason. That childish urge to investigate further was growing. Of course, Pendleton was with me, and he would never allow it. Well, better to beg forgiveness and ask permission, as they say. My word! Look at this adorable flower arrangement. That sunny glow, that summery flare. It's perfect for a party like this, isn't it? We should have some for the mansion. I pointed to the flowers decorating the hall.
You have a keen eye, my lady. Those are an impressive display of Her Majesty's favorite white roses. Their vibrancy gives color to the halls in a way few other things could. If I'm able, I'd love to use them for future reference. Note the remarkably fine balance between the leaves and blossoms. Ah, excuse me. They are lovely, yes, but it will take more than flowers for today to go well. The heart of the British Empire is at stake, so were even one thing to go amiss... my lady? Oh, every single time. The moment I turn away, off she goes.
Sorry, Pendleton. After escaping Pendleton's watchful eye, I eagerly began to pursue Holmes and Watson. Where did they go? I was so certain this was the way. There were so many guests. I knew this before, of course, but the number felt so much greater when I had to search through them. Yet I soon met success. The boys were still amongst the crowd, their clothes giving them away.
Quickly, Watson. I'm coming! Don't leave me behind!
I followed after the two boys.
Right this way, gentlemen.
That uniform must make him an officer of the yard. Our proud London Police Department was none other than Scotland Yard. Save for the City of London itself, their jurisdiction covered the entirety of Greater London. But isn't the Queen's Guard charged with protecting the royal family? Why would they be here?
I'm here to speak to Inspector Lestrade, please.
Of course. He's been waiting for you. Right this way.
Thank you.
They gave their thanks to the officer before briskly passing him into a room deep within the palace. Ah, so it was Scotland Yard that summoned them. That officer seemed rather agitated, too. Has something gone wrong after all? Now, is Lestrade, or is this Lestrade Jr.? As I considered the possibilities, the extravagance of the party and eager whispers in anticipation of Her Majesty's arrival faded into the background. Then a terrible thought occurred. It can't be. Did something happen to Her Majesty? I can't stand idly by. There was no suppressing my growing curiosity. I made certain no one was looking before I motioned toward the room and slipped behind a curtain.
Hello there. Hope you didn't mind the short notice. I did try to telephone your father, but as he so often is, he had his hands full with another case.
Holmes greeted the man with a frown. Don't blame him.
I don't believe talk of my father is relevant. Now, what's happened here?
Ah, true enough. My fault. I tell you, we've been searching every corner, but we've come up short on all counts.
Could you make it brief? We don't have much time, do we?
I knew it! Something happened. But what could they be searching for?
If possible, I should like to speak to the Queen directly as well.
What? Directly, you say?
Directly, yes. One can solve nothing without data, and it would be best to have her confirm a few things, so, if you would, Inspector.
Absolutely not! Her Majesty is too busy preparing for the ceremony.
Inspector.
Holmes's stance was one of assumed superiority, and the assumption was correct, for the inspector crumbled immediately.
From what I hear, 5 of the cases you've undertaken this year have still yet to be solved. Is that correct?
Where did...
Let us concern ourselves with the strangling case in Piccadilly. The events occurred at 8 o'clock at night, and the Yard concluded it to be the work of an immigrant whose goal was money. But according to the coroner, the victim was choked in such a way that they would have seen their killer from the front. Does this not strike you as peculiar? If what the killer wanted was money, he would have surely choked the victim from behind. I can only think this was someone who could approach their target from the front without arousing suspicion. 2 scenarios come to mind. Holmes? The first is that our killer knew the victim well. The second is that he played the part of a good man, a simple tourist, or perhaps a happy drunkard. Those with whom you would naturally lower your guard. However, no evidence of a struggle was found at the scene. Not even a witness's report of unusual screaming or shouting. That leads to one answer, and only one. The killer and victim were friendly. And yet the police state it's nothing more than a robbery homicide.
Well, no, it isn't quite so.
Next, we should look into the unsolved mystery involving a corpse found early in the morning near the Thames. All right, Holmes, that's enough. I'm only stating the facts. Perhaps so, but is this the time or the place? My point is that with information scarce, our current case will remain just as unsolved. Inspector Lestrade, I must insist you grant me an audience.
Well, she can't have gone far. Sergeant Ryan!
Yes, sir!
Start the search. I want every blade of grass within 5 kilometers of Buckingham Palace examined. She may well be right under our noses. Use every member on staff if you have to. We must return her to Her Majesty as soon as possible, and if so much as a single hair is out of place, you won't live to see tomorrow.
But, Inspector, we can't possibly do a search that wide in so short a time. It's more impossible, really.
And that's what's keeping you here. Move, damn it!
Her? Then it must be a relative. It couldn't be a member of the royal family was kidnapped. Could it? I think it's the cat. The sudden flicker of worry upon discovering too much came to me. I grew concerned. Restless. How could this have happened? And here, of all places? What a thought! Breath held, I composed myself once more and listened closely for more information.
Inspector! Her Majesty the Queen arrives!
I see she has the sense to save us some time. Unlike that stubborn ass. You're one to call others stubborn.
She's coming here! Men, take your places and salute Her Majesty!
Nonsense. You needn't stand on ceremony.
Wow, it's Her Majesty. Her tone was moderate, with no stress on any syllable, and yet it was so lyrical that everyone stopped to listen. I gripped the curtain I was hiding behind on instinct. It was she, Queen Victoria. Certainly, there was no need for her to command attention, for an attractive dignity was implied in her every manner, a dignity which could never be achieved with practice.
How do you do? You are Sherlock Holmes and William H. Watson, correct?
It is a great honor to make your acquaintance, Your Majesty. And for me as well.
The pleasure is mine. I've great faith that both of you will solve this without incident.
Of course, Your Majesty.
Now, if we may speak of the case, you're to search for my dearest Chelsea. She is only 1 year old.
The name was new to me. She can't be a princess of the throne, then. A relative, perhaps? If even distant ones were invited, then it's possible it's one of them. I listened closer, closer, and closer, until I felt a tap on my shoulder. Eep! I turned to see a familiar face next to me.
Oh, hello again.
Hello! It was Watson, the boy who saved both me and my champagne glass.
Aha! Must be fate that we've met again so soon. What brings you to this part of the palace?
Oh, well, that is... All eyes were on me as I hunted for an excuse.
What's going on? Who are you?
It's, the palace, you see. It's so beautiful wherever I look, and I'm ever so thrilled to see it. So I found myself wandering here by chance.
That was the best I could come up with. What rubbish. Your lies appear right on your face. Here's what I think. You slipped in here, curiosity piqued, and were drawn in by our every word. You're a right disappointment.
Drat. He spoke to me the same way as he did the inspector, with complete unfiltered arrogance and a sharp-featured face framed by dark hair that could have done with a trim. Dang. Or it may have been a respectable length, but only for him. It softened the angles of his nose, chin, and eyes, which were all very intimidating in sections, but uniquely handsome when arranged together. Oh, stop that, Emily! Now isn't the time to be admiring boys. It's always the time. Alright, I'm so glad we got like another cheeseroo here. Like, his features were quite becoming upon him as the sunlight glinted upon his noble brow. Wait a minute, what am I doing?
Holmes, don't you think that's too direct? Forgive me, Watson. I'm afraid I don't have the knack for pleasantries as you do.
And just how did our officers miss a young girl? What do they think we pay them for?
You pay us to prevent criminal activity and to keep Her Majesty the Queen safe, sir.
Well, if you know that so well, you should know how serious it is when you've botched it all up, you idiot!
Holmes seemed content to ignore them, turning to me again.
You there. Can you swear not to breathe a word of anything you've heard here?
Yes, I wouldn't dare.
Then you'll never speak of being here.
I won't. You can take me at my word. Really?
One last question, then. What is your name?
It's Emily Whiteley.
I see. My name is Sherlock Holmes. Just the surname is fine. And with that, Miss Whiteley, I suggest you leave immediately.
A harsh order, but an appropriate one. I had no excuses left to stay, and so I excused myself politely. And then came an objection from the last person I expected.
I must ask that you wait, dear Emily.
Me? None other than the Queen requested me. Is something the matter, Your Majesty?
You are the daughter of Olivia Whiteley, aren't you?
Why, yes, I am. May I ask if you've met her?
We knew each other well, as it happens. She did a great deal for me in the past, and it pleases me as well to know that you, child, have blossomed into such a stunning young lady.
Oh? Did she remember me from somewhere? I had no idea she knew my mother, much less me. I beg your forgiveness, but I fear I don't remember our being acquainted.
That's no fault of yours. You were only a child when we last met.
I didn't realize. Her Majesty smiled, and the sight flushed me with warmth.
The world is lesser for the loss of your mother, including my own. There are so many things I should have liked to say to her were she still with us.
This was no rehearsed sentiment from royalty, but a genuine thought. She sincerely mourned my mother's death. Thank you for your kind words. She would have loved to hear them.
You know, you remind me of her. She, too, possessed a natural curiosity, always meddling in one thing or another.
Was she?
If I may ask, Emily, would you be so kind as to assist these gentlemen?
Me? For the case?
Your Majesty, I don't...
This matter cannot be resolved soon enough. There's little knowing what she may do next.
Her Majesty's expression was grave.
To ensure Chelsea comes home safely, I believe it would be best to work with as many hands as we can find. And you, much like Olivia, appear as if you have a special touch with animals.
I do? The assumption baffled me. It's very true that I loved caring for them when I lived in the countryside, but how would that help here?
Your Majesty, may I ask what you mean? Very well. I shall explain the case in detail.
She faced us as if ready to begin an intimate conversation.
Close to an hour ago, my Siamese, Chelsea, escaped the palace. So a cat, is it?
I knew it. I see. So that's who Chelsea is. Come to think of it, Pendleton mentioned that the Siamese king's gift was a cat.
Today, for my part, is an important opportunity to deepen our relationship with Siam. I was to attend with Chelsea. The darling was an ever so thoughtful gift from their king. So thoughtful, in fact, he ensured her birthday was the same as mine. Everything began in the dressing room, where one of my maids was brushing her. I wished to pay her a visit before the ceremony. Now, it bears mentioning here, and I regret to say this, that Chelsea is not particularly fond of me. Yet it wouldn't do for His Majesty to see her being so cold, and so I reached out my hand to pet her and hoped she would be friendly. I hadn't expected her to dislike even such a small touch. She jumped straight out of an open window, and we've yet to see her since. She was last seen running along the wall towards Hyde Park. An hour would be sufficient enough time for her to reach there, I should think.
I could not help but think of how ordinary a concern this was. She was a queen, a woman of poise and worldly power, and at the same time a simple human of compassion. I can't put my finger on why, but seeing her fret this much is rather sweet. Wouldn't it also be like an international incident if she lost a gift from the King of Siam? Her heartache moved me. How could I not wish to help her? I must do something.
I understand, Your Majesty. Might you tell us of any distinguishing features?
In contrast, Holmes appeared to feel nothing, merely seeking details that would aid his work.
Certainly. Siamese cats are known for their deep blue eyes and nearly black ears, tails, and paws. Chelsea, however, is quite a rare case. Her tail is not black but white. You may also note her collar, which reads, "May the bond between Britain and Siam last evermore." With His Majesty present today, I was hoping to show her to him. The collar itself is crafted from the purest gold, fitted with 2 rare diaspora gemstones mined from Siam.
Ah, then the collar alone is worth more than its fair share on the black market.
Indeed it is. Chelsea may be in danger were someone to know its value.
May. Almost assuredly. Imagine the stir from a wandering cat with a collar so extravagant.
If only I had given her better care before this. I know well how to look after dogs, but cats are still new to me.
I imagine most would feel the same. Dogs were a popular pet in London, perhaps at the height of their popularity now, with dog shows being held by the upper class nearly every day. Cats, however, had no such excitement about them and were a rare sight.
I can only reason Chelsea leapt into the garden because she was afraid of me. But whether she likes it or not, her home is here with me. Please bring her back before the ceremony begins at 2 o'clock. Chelsea is a symbol. To have her gone missing would be a terrible blight on the bond we've worked this past year to strengthen.
Your Majesty.
Emily Whiteley, Sherlock Holmes. Very sincerely, I request your assistance in this matter. Please cooperate with Scotland Yard. Bring her home to me.
Certainly, Your Majesty. But I wish to voice some concerns regarding Miss Whiteley.
If I may! I interrupted Holmes before I could stop myself. I'm hardly a detective, and I feel as though I'm still learning much about the ways of the world, so your concerns are valid. Rather, I mean that even with my lack of experience, I'm sure I can do something. So if it pleases you, Your Majesty, I would love nothing more than to help.
Come now, miss. A little more reassurance wouldn't hurt. Speak with confidence. I'll solve the case, or some such. You don't have to mean it.
But I could never swear to Her Majesty so recklessly.
Not even a white lie. Again, I see your mother in you.
That small, warm smile of hers returned.
Your Majesty.
Inspector Lestrade, I see your reasoning, but to encourage a young girl to speak lies to your queen sounds most inappropriate, does it not?
No! Well, yes. So it is. That wasn't my...
Her sincerity will, I believe, help her to notice things your veterans would overlook. I should like to trust someone with a heart as golden as hers, much like how I relied on Olivia in the past.
You were relying on my mother?
I have a feeling that necklace you wear will guide you, Emily.
Do you recognize it? It's the necklace of House Whiteley. I glanced down as she mentioned it.
Holmes Jr. Her unique perspective might be of assistance to you. Would you look for Chelsea together with her?
As you wish, Your Majesty.
I have the utmost faith in you.
Nervous as I was, Her Majesty's kindly smile gave me the push I needed. Thank you, Your Majesty. I'll give it my all. And with that, I became part of the team in search of Chelsea. Alright, I think that might be it. Yeah, that's it for that scene. Well, I recorded more than I thought I was, but I'm already intrigued as to how we got involved in these whole shenanigans. And yeah, Holmes is going to be a tough nut to crack, but it should be enjoyable to say the least. Hope you guys have enjoyed what you've seen so far, and next time we will continue the mystery in earnest, as well as the mystery of unlocking Sherlock's heart. So yeah, until next time guys, I will see you later.